freaking believable. First, thank you all for being here. Let me tell you, standing up and playing music without an audience is not a lot of fun. Many years ago, I had the privilege to introduce a gentleman who was the chief scientist, Dr. Alan Kay, chief scientist at the Xerox Palo Alto Research Center. He was the guy that brought us the mouse, not the animal, but computer mouse, and the graphical user interface and local area networking and all sorts of great stuff. And he opened his speech by saying, context is worth 80 IQ points. So I want to give you all an extra 80 IQ points, at least for tonight, and give you some context. What the hell are we doing here? And I want to do that by answering two questions. So one is, why are we here? And the other is, how did this come about? I'm going to start with the second question, how did this come about? And it goes back to August last year. And I was having dinner with my dear wife at home. And she said, you know, next March is your 70th birthday. We should do something. And I said, yeah, we probably should. Let's have a few friends over. Little party. So yeah, that's a good idea. I said, hey, I could invite a couple of my musical friends and we could go down in the basement. We could have a jam. So yeah, that's a good idea. So, friends, welcome to my basement. It's out of control. So that's how this came about. So why are we here? Well, I think probably it's obvious. I turned 70. I never thought I'd hear myself saying that. On Wednesday. It's one of those things that just happened. I really didn't work at it. But so I turned 70, so that was one reason. Second reason, I don't know if he's arrived yet. He moves kind of slowly. My very best friend, one-time employee, one-time business partner, one of the most successful stand-up comics in the universe, Craig Wilson, turned 75 today. That's an achievement. That's worth round of applause. But the biggest achievement goes to my dear mother-in-law, Vera, who last Tuesday turned 91. And she's going to be up in a lecture with a Les Paul strapped on doing some boogie-woogie. So that's the reason. But, you know, why music? It's a tiny bit of history. I think I got interested in playing music when I was literally, I don't know, 5, 6 years old. I had a toy zither. And it was kind of a real zither, but a small thing. And I loved that thing. I got my first guitar when I was 9. By the time I was 15, I was in a band playing around London. By the time I was 18, my father had the conversation with me. Son, you ain't gonna make it as a musician. You need a profession. You need to go to university. And we debated that particular subject, but I realized he was right. And the way I work, those of you that know me well, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to give it everything. So I thought, okay, I'm going to university. I sell my guitar. I sell my amplifier. I'm never going to play music again. And I didn't for about 40 years. So fast forward 40 years, I'm climbing off a plane. I did a lot of travel in those days, and I'm driving home from the airport, and I got the radio on, and 96 Rock, there's an advert comes on for Miller's Music, I don't know if they still exist here in Atlanta, a dings and dents sale. Whole piles of damaged guitars in the parking lot, we're giving them away. I don't know what happened, it was the weirdest damn thing, but my steering wheel, I left 285, and next thing I find myself at Miller's Music. The next thing I remember is getting home and taking an amplifier and a cheap Japanese guitar out of the trunk and trying to explain to Gillian what I'd just done. That was 40 years ago. 2005, I was looking for a sabbatical. I needed a little bit of time off work. Management consulting was very intensive. And I heard about a thing called Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp. So I signed up for that. Went out to Hollywood for 5 days of intense crack of dawn to midnight playing, being coached, working with absolute rock stars, Roger Daltrey, Dickie Betts from the Allman Brothers, and on and on and on. Karen, I can't see anybody, by the way, so Karen, wherever you are, she was with me on that camp. Oh, there she is. Karen Adams. We were at the camp together, and it became a really big deal because the Learning Channel was there. They filmed a 2-hour documentary of this damn thing, which occasionally reruns, keep your eyes open. But it was an absolutely amazing experience. Our band, I think there were 12 bands. The band I was in, we won the Battle of the Bands, which meant this was on Good Morning America the next morning, which is kind of funny, because I'd kept this secret from all of my clients, and most of my friends. Suddenly it wasn't a secret anymore. But I mean, it literally was, people talk about life-changing experiences. And that gave me the confidence to get back into music. I was so blown away by it. A couple of weeks later, I contacted the owner of the camp, and I said, I've got some ideas for expanding the camp. He said, great, come up to New York, let's have dinner. I gave him my ideas. He said, well, most of those ideas are not going to work. But I like the way you're thinking, I like the way you approach me. I need someone to help me develop a business plan and raise financing. I'd love you to do it, I can't pay you. This is the way it works. But I promise, if this thing really gets off the ground, you can be my guest, you can come to as many rock and roll camps as you want. So I worked with him, it was a blast. The business was launched, it got funded, I was wining and dining with movie producers in Hollywood. It was an incredible experience. But the camp took off, it's been incredibly successful. I've now been, I think, to 10 camps. I've played in New York, in Chicago, in London, in Liverpool at the Cavern. I spent a week at Abbey Road Studios where the Beatles recorded and Pink Floyd recording with some of my favorite musical heroes. It has been absolutely amazing. So music has become, and musical performance has become a very important part of my life at 70. And one of the most important parts of that are the musical friends that I've made, mostly in Atlanta. Though not all of them. And so what we're doing tonight, people say, well, I'm looking forward to hearing you with your band. This is not my band. As it says on the bass drum skid, it's Vaughan and Friends. It's me with a bunch of musical friends. They're going to be getting up and down, and we're going to be changing the mix. So we're going to have one set of Vaughan and Friends. We'll then take a break, because I've got a lot of friends here I haven't seen for a long time. A lot of people come from quite some distances. I'm so thrilled about that. So we'll have one set of Vaughan and Friends. We take a break. Then some of the friends I made was this incredible band called The Spirit of Rush. It's a Rush tribute band. If you're a Rush fan, you're going to absolutely love them. If you're not a Rush fan, you're going to like them. If you don't know who Rush is, or you've no idea what progressive rock is, there's a very nice deck out there you might like. Progressive rock is it's all weird time signatures, it's very complex music. I formed a taste for it because I grew up with my parents listening to Stravinsky and Bartok and Prokofiev. And progressive rock is the Stravinsky and Bartok and progressive of rock music. So that's what's going on. So they will do a second set, we'll take a break, mingle, and then we'll have a third set that'll again be Vaughan and Friends. And by that time I hope to be falling over. Try not to until the third set. A couple of things to note. I would really love you to move around. The fact that you've landed at a table, please, there's a very diverse group of people. There's a lot of people here that are my business friends, people I work with, worked for, some fairly recently, some going back a very, very long time. Maybe more of that later. A lot of them are my musical friends. Others are just friends. So it's an interesting group. We've got 91-year-old at the top end. We've got children at the lower end. So please mingle, have fun. We've got a little bit of a dance floor. I hope as things get warmed up, you'll take advantage of that. Oh, as you do move around the tables, please do check out the table decorations. My wonderfully creative wife, Gillian, came up with a whole bunch of ideas, so check out the table decorations, they're pretty creative. Also, over to the right-hand side is a tip bucket, not a tip jar, it's a tip bucket. That is going to go to the Cancer Support Group of Atlanta. And some of you might know cancer has touched our family in challenging ways in the last 18 months. I know it's touched many of you in the room. I'm sure it's touched some of your friends, but it hasn't touched you personally. Living here in Atlanta, the Cancer Support Group does an incredible, incredible job. It is so important to getting through this horrible battle. So please, dip into your hearts, dip into your wallets, and keep that tub filled. And with that, let me see what we're doing next. We're going to play, most of the songs we're going to do, by the way, come from the 60s and 70s. That's when I was in my 20s, early 30s. Very formative. We're going to start with a little tune by a band called Cream. That was 3 guys. Jack Bruce died last year. He was the bass player. I got to see Jack Bruce many, many, many times. He played around in a lot of bands when I was a teenager. I got to play with Jack Bruce about 2-3 years ago. I got to record with Jack Bruce at Abbey Road a couple of years ago, and he died last year. So this is kind of a tribute to Jack Bruce.